Hello, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself, Paul and Jenny from Hope the Ghost, Angela from South Coast Ghost, Julia from founder of Paranation Ghost Hunting Feds, Daniel from, I can't see, well, Daniel's from a spaceship or something, and the sensible Chris in the corner there. So welcome, boys. Thank you for coming on tonight at the last moment. Daniel looks
No
like he's just
worries.
landed on a UFO, so we'll let that one
Oh,
go.
Paul, just. How are you guys?
We're alive. We're alive.
Good, guys, good.
So tonight we were supposed to have a guest speaker on talking about witches and all the stuff, and the witches came down through generations of her family. But unfortunately, she was taken unwell this afternoon, so she couldn't be here. So all of us get well soon, in Sindel. So you know who you are, and a big thank you to Chris and Daniel for dropping in right at the last moment. I can't believe you've got nothing to do, but there you go. You know, people must know you now.
Well, I gotta say, Chris, this is probably the first Monday where we've actually gone. Do you know what? We're not actually doing anything because we've been very busy, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I picked up the phone.
No, I don't.
I was looking forward to being in bed.
Hi, Dora. Yeah, I'd have thought you'd have known better, Krista, to pick up the phone. You'd just no one at home. Please leave a message. That's the one I use.
So kind of to start off, me and Chris kind of wanted to start off with the meaning of what Summit View Studios SVS actually stands for, because every production company has their own reason on why they started. It's like Abilene with Steven Spielberg. It has its own meaning. And the meaning for Summit View Studios, I think, is quite special, and we're finally allowed to actually talk about it. And for Angela, Paul, you weren't there on the Friday night at the conference, were you?
No.
So, Angela, you were there though, weren't you? So, you got to see the My Bigfoot Life doc.
Yeah,
so
that's
Chris,
amazing.
I'll kind of chuck this to you, mate, because this will be the first time that you're actually saying it. So do you want to kind of say the meaning of SVS?
We had a little experience on the summit, and we viewed something and made a studio.
Wow.
Pretty much sums it up, right? We had a view on the summit, and we made studios. So Summit View Studios, and you are going to watch a documentary if you want to see what we saw.
We to really say it as simple as it is, we all ran up this hill after something that we didn't know what we were chasing. And I'm going to say my advice is never run after something that you don't know what's actually in the woods, because my granddad and a special guest, James Bobo Fay, that was there from Finding Bigfoot, actually sat way kind of away from where we were, and Bobo said, "There's wolves over there," and Gramps turned around and went, "What? I'm sat in the middle of nowhere with a stranger, and there might be wolves, and my grandson and my son-in-law have just run up this hill with some tall beast named Chris, and we just run up this hill, and it got to the top. Now I've got to say, that was probably one of the most emotional moments for some of the cast members. I did not cry, and I'll put my hand up to that. I'm the only one that still has not cried. No, of course you don't even get to comment on that. So we were all up there, and it almost like opened an entire new world up. And it was like, oh my God, we've now just become a team, much more than just friends. So it just built us together, didn't it, Chris? It just kind of linked us.
Yeah, I mean, we'd already bonded over the project that we were on, but that was kind of something that's it was unexpected, difficult to top. And I didn't cry.
You did. I have footage of you just right in the corner.
Show us.
There was a lot of
But before we go on to our new series coming out, we've the doc is a very, very powerful thing, and everyone, and Angela, you can speak to this as well. I don't know your views on the doc, but I know that a lot of people found that very, very emotional. When I gotta say, most people were crying in that room when that doc was first shown. So it was a very, very magical moment that that a lot of people loved, and we can't wait for actually it to
Sorry,
come
could you
out.
just explain that a bit more, please? I'm a bit lost.
On the
Doc.
doc.
Yes, I wasn't there.
Documentary.
Oh, okay. So, the actual my Bigfoot Life doc is a project that myself, Chris, and other members of the team, have been working on for a very, very long time. We started in the UK and we filmed in the UK, and then we flew over to Seattle, Washington, and we filmed over in Seattle. And at the conference, we showed it to the VIPs for the very first time, and it's not going to be shown again until it's released, meaning that that was a very, very special moment, and especially for myself and the cast, for actually everyone to see it was just very, very magical. So yeah.
So when will that be released for people to see then, Daniel?
Chris actually asked me the same question today. And I'm going
day and the day before and every day for 6 months.
So I'm going to be very, very honest here. I don't know. I don't know exactly the point. We're hoping by the end of the year. We're unsure currently. It's currently going through all the things that it needs to go through before it comes out. It's just come back from Cannes Film Festival, so the feedback from that is still coming back. It takes a while for it to kind of but it will definitely be this year. The sign that Chris doesn't even know, meaning I don't even know. But as soon as we know, we will release it, and we will get that release date out there, so then everyone knows this is the date that the doc is going to be released.
If you know one of us, you will know when it's released. Trust me.
And what platforms is it going to be released on?
Yeah.
That question is still going to remain silent until we can get released.
That's not fair.
Well,
we don't know that either.
Well, I took the professional sentence, and Chris just took the absolute honest truth. But the production company is working really hard, and what could be coming is something absolutely amazing. Just before we move on to SVS, Angela, I didn't actually get your views on the docs.
Yeah, well, I was one of the people that was crying at the end. I think 90% of them were.
Yeah.
I think what made it more emotional was that we knew the people that were involved. It was like almost like watching a family documentary, if you like.
Yeah.
So that made it all the more better. But I don't know, it just was amazing, especially the bit near the end when you can actually see something.
There was some foul language there as well, wasn't there? It's absolutely disgraceful. They can't.
And I must say,
was that Daniel?
No, I must say, a lot of the stuff did have to be cut out because I kept just words over and over repeat. But my favourite moment, and I've known Chris for about 2 years now, my favourite moment with Chris was the first time he ever saw something that was just fabulous. His words are MF, and all the adults out there will actually get. Now, my audience is children, so I'm not actually going to say it, but all the adults will know that is what came out, and it did have to be bleeped out of the doc, but that was a funny moment. That was a funny moment.
I've only been looking for 40 years, and when I got eyes on for the first time, the first words that came into my head,
be careful.
good God, you're beautiful. Nothing like that. Oh no,
Emma.
full on.
So yes, thank you, Angela, for giving your views, because it's oh, and also Dad's in the chat. Well, I gotta say, there was also a moment. Now I'm holding on to Chris like this, so Chris is kind of pulling me over logs, and how we didn't break a leg, I have no idea. I have no idea. It was stupid. But Dad was behind me and asking if I'm all right, and I'm stretching, so I'm worried that my arm's going to rip off. And Dad goes, "You're right, Daniel. You're right." And he goes, "Be careful not to trip over." And then two seconds later, the actual filming is via Dad's GoPro. You see Dad fall over. So he asks if I'm all right, but actually he falls over. It's just hilarious. So it's just
with the wolves and everybody. So wolves, mountain lions, bears, everything that could have been in that area. I didn't have a problem because I knew I could outrun you and your dad in that terrain.
Sounds good to me. Sounds always good to me. That's the advantage of being 8 foot tall, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, long legs,
long stride. You don't have long legs for no reason.
It was a moment that no, we can never explain how that moment felt. And I gotta say, that was last August. And every day since, we still keep talking about it. We still keep kind of going, "Oh my God, that was amazing." And the cast was just, it had to be those people. If anyone else was in there, it wouldn't have happened the way it happened. And we kept saying that the people that were there, and it was actually Brian that said those words. Said this team is what made this happen tonight. This is which actually goes into what you guys spoke about a couple of weeks ago. That in the team, both Ryan and if Brian ever watches this, I'm sorry, Brian, if I've misquoted you, but Ryan definitely believes that it was the team's energy that actually helped that. And I know you guys have spoken about that before, and it's something me and Chris have spoken about as well before, that it's the energy that the team brought off. Because Chris, again, I'll say, mate, we weren't quiet in there, were we, mate?
No, there's so this is all of this that we're describing now. It's all our first foray into the film world or whatever, that, you know, where you've got professional camera crews and sound men. Okay, Craig was carrying the sound gear, but there's 15 of us trailing up this narrow trail up the side of towards the ridge, and no, we weren't being quiet, and we weren't expecting anything, so we were just having a jolly old time.
Yeah.
But I think initially we started to get, like, I felt at first it was Brian as a ex-policeman from Tennessee. I can't remember what city. He was a policeman.
Yeah.
He was a city cop anyway, and I'm obviously an ex-squaddy. So at first we all started to get suspicious or sensitive to what was going on around us, like spider senses were tingling. And Brian went in and went to the left, and I went into the forest and straight on. And I kind of feel like we knew what the other one was doing at first because there's the background, but very quickly it became apparent that something was kicking off, and Ryan was in there, and then he went off to the left with Brian, and Daniel and Craig came behind me. I nearly went down a wrong rabbit hole then. Ryan and Craig.
That was very close. I saw the expression in your face there, Chris.
Yeah. Daniel and Craig joined me, and we went straight on. So I think it was a really good accumulative thing that started and built up, and as a team, we really nailed it.
But you often find, don't you, when you're least expecting something to happen, You know, you're chatting away, like we were saying a couple of weeks ago, and when we do a ghost hunt, you're chatting away with each other, having a bit of a laugh, and then suddenly it starts to change, doesn't it? I think if you go there the intention of being quiet, sitting still for 8 hours, nothing will happen. It's because you're going about doing every day, doing your stuff, crashing through trees, or like us opening doors and treading on creaky floorboards. Then, you know, the noises, the things, these things happen when you least expect it. And that's what we find exciting in the paranormal world, the same as yours. You know, things happen when you least expect it. And that's when you really get your true evidence, I believe.
Yeah.
And Paul, you are absolutely right, mate. And it got to a point where we were actually or Ryan. So it was actually at the point of Ryan actually went off before the experience kicked off to actually go and produce ahead on what because we were going to do a call that was in harmony with all of us. So Ryan was trying to find the spot, so then it would kind of be the finale of the night, because obviously we were trying to trying to keep that entertaining. So Ryan was producer was in the head. So actually we were nowhere near what actually happened, which is why it's so great, which is why it happened naturally. And I will never forget the moment of where I say the word "I shine," and when everyone sees that doc, and I love that Angela can now relate to that. Actually, when I said the word "I shine," it was at that point we're off, and we're running up this hill. And when I mean we're running, we're gone. And it was Chris that actually said it looks like a scene from ET. When you're just running up.
That was the cameraman, wasn't it, with the noise?
Oh, it was. Yeah.
The cameramen refused to follow us because of the value of the cameras. They felt put them on risk. So Ryan had to run off, and he was going to coordinate this call, harmonized call, but then he realized the camera crew weren't coming, so he had to fish this old camcorder out of his pocket. No idea how long the battery would last or anything like that, because the thing's like 15 years old or something. So everything up in the forest is on our GoPros and his camcorder. Whilst the cameramen safely on the trail with the
other director and my grandmother.
I was going to say, is Nan and Grandad watching? Because I want to say the crazy. It almost because the ridge was huge. So we were on top of the ridge. So on top of the ridge was myself, Chris, Dad, Bobo, not Bobo, sorry, Brian, and Ryan. And then in the middle was Bobo and my granddad. And then all the way on the path was my grandmother, Monica, and the camera guys. So it was, and I don't. Everybody, wasn't it?
Oh, Max, yeah. So it was kind of a long stretch of us that if you were stood far away, you could see that we were all kind of spread into different kind of places.
There's something about Max, because he's so unassuming, we forget about some of his past, this story. So he has absolutely zero belief in anything that's not in the school books or whatever, and absolutely zero fear of the dark, and his hobby is photography. But he's a teenager, so that's when he's not too lazy to get a camera out of his bag. And he was ranging ahead in the darkness on this trail, taking photographs of us coming up the trail, and trying to. We had a wolf moon, which is a giant moon.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, he was getting all these fantastic shots, and he'd even played a trick on us when we first arrived. He hid in the forest and got an app on his phone that showed 2 red eyes, and we fell for it, didn't we? We were like, "What the?"
It was
love it.
And then we get right up the trail on the side of the mountain. So the ridge that we had the experience on was like a false crest. The mountain continued up behind us for about 8 miles away. But He's ranging out ahead of us and taking photos, and then next along is me, and he come back and he looks a little pale. I said, "Are you okay?" He said, I don't really feel comfortable out there on my own anymore. And I went, "Oh, maybe it's Bigfoot. That's the kind of thing they do." And he went, "Yeah, whatever." And then it was like 10 minutes later, we're crashing through the forest.
But I gotta say, guys, and this is probably the most powerful moment, and everyone that it doesn't believe in Bigfoot or whatever, it doesn't matter. We know what we saw up there. But the most powerful thing, I must say, is Monica, the other director. You had two camera guys named Kevin and Alex. You had Max there. You had Dad there, who didn't believe at all, and was in it because we were in it. And you gotta think that these guys have come from Hollywood. They're just doing their job. They're being paid to be there to film us, and they went back believing. And that's the most incredible thing, that everyone came back believing in what they saw and knowing what they saw. Now, me, Chris, and Brian were the only guys that saw something. Whether Dad and Ryan felt that there was and saw that there was some commotion going up the hill, and it was just everyone came back knowing and believing that's what team saw. And in my opinion, that's the important message, that you've got people who have come from Hollywood that are just doing their job. You've got a film director that is just on this film, producing this film. You've got Max who's related to Monica, that's just come along for the ride. So it's the things that seem to have it's just something magical that all kind of brought us together on that hill. So
I like
it was cool.
Your dad's part of the story, Angelo, you've seen the documentary. There is the thermal footage of somebody behind the tree looking out at something, some hot animal leaning out from behind the tree chasing us, and none of us knew it was there. Only the guy with the thermal could see it. And that's the way I went. And then Daniel followed me, and Craig was attached to Daniel, and it was absolute pitch black. And he said, as he walked past that, he felt somebody stand up, and he was like, "What the?" Like this. And then he was off attached to Daniel. And he said, whatever it was, he just felt the movement. He couldn't tell you what he saw or anything like that. But it's just those little camera shot moments, fantastic little stories like that. This thing stood up, and he knew it was enormous. That's all he can tell you. It stood up, and it was enormous. And
it's always a good thing, isn't it, when you take people that are skeptical into something like this, like we do in the paranormal, and you welcome people that are skeptics, that don't believe in it. You know, they're entitled to their opinion and what they feel and what they want. But when they come back, and it's like at the end of a paranormal evening, and people come back and they've got that grin on their face, and you think, you know what?
Yeah,
you've actually changed. And it's not us that's made them change by trying to persuade them. It's what they felt, what they've seen, and what they were close by that makes the difference to them. You know, skeptics can say, "Oh, well, you knocked, you tapped, you did," or somebody threw something in the woods to make a noise, you know, but you know for a fact you don't do it. And people are skeptical and things happen to them. They come out and say, "Well, I don't actually know what happened. I know what I saw, but I don't know." And you think, you know what?
Yeah.
You've just experienced what we've experienced over many years of trying. Because sometimes you can, and you know yourself, you could be out for hours and get nothing. Same as us on a paranormal investigation. You could be there hours, 8 hours a night, 12 hours, and get nothing. Absolutely nothing. You could go out that one time with the one energy from a whole team, like our team, and just like you're saying, your team, Daniel, the energy of laughing and having a bit of a joke. And so your energy and the frequencies all raised. And these spiritual Bigfoots, whatever you want to call it, same as go see that, they think, well, they look like fun. Suddenly you start to get this interaction because, you know, if you go into a paranormal investigation and you're doom and gloom, It's like if you meet someone in the real world on the Earth plane that's doom and gloom, you're going to avoid them like a plague, don't you?
Yeah.
But you meet someone that's fun, joyful, and got a very real good energy. You're going to think, well, I want part of that, so I'm going to join in, or I'll do something. So they acknowledge that I'm there, like this. Whatever you saw stood up, wanted to see someone to see it, to know that it was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some of the TV shows I've watched where people will, and I am betting it's the same with what you guys do. The guys go off into the forest and they stretch a camouflage sheet in front of them. And they sit there, like you say, 8 hours, sit there. Now, any Bigfoot type creature or any other cryptid is obviously going to see they're there and sort of walk past and go, what are they doing? And, okay. But if that guy went out there and started like digging a hole or playing whatever the latest game console is, that creature's going to be like, what is he doing there? Like, you know, that's when you can capture it. No, and I bet it's the same with the paranormal, where if you sit there doing something that's not interesting, why are they going to waste their energy investigating you?
Well, we've done it. We've done it at an abbey that we go to, and we were there one night, and little bits and pieces happen, but nothing much. So we thought, well, I know what we'll do. We'll play some monk music, some chanting.
Oh yeah.
You know, as soon as we started playing it, Andrew will tell you, it completely changed. Taps, knocks, shadows. You know, anything they think, oh, I recognise. Oh, I wonder where that music's coming from. Oh, I recognise that, or I understand that. And then suddenly they all come flooded in. And that night, going from being a quite peaceful night to being quite full on, and you know, and like you say, they look over your shoulder and think, oh, this looks good. Oh, I recognise that. It sounds like monks. I'll walk over there and have a look, see what's going on. And it's the same, must be the same in your world, in the cryptids and all of that. And I think also a lot of it is that the energy that you carry into the experiment, the film, the documentary, like us, where we carry into a location. We go in with fun. We don't expect anything. And also, a lot of it comes down to you get out of it what you put in. If you're just along for the ride, you're going to get nothing out of the experience. Like you were saying, you know, they're just cameramen come from wherever, and we're only here to film it. Suddenly, they're in the middle of it. So their outlook is completely different now, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but what and the only reason why we're allowed to talk about it is because we've already done a podcast to everyone actually explaining it. But there was, after that experience, I then had a second day experience. And I gotta say, I've never shouted so much in my life. Where
Chris is thinking about that one. Look.
We were. It was just something behind a tree, and I ran as fast as I could to get to the other end of this field to where we were in. And I gotta say, anyone who has seen Ryan here in the UK before, anyone that's actually had the pleasure of being out in the forest with him, I've never seen Ryan like that. Ryan, you got brambles, it's a swamp, and Ryan's straight through. Ryan's like, I'm getting there. I did see it last night, so I'm actually getting there now. And he's straight through. He's straight through the swamp. He's gone, and he's gone within seconds. So whatever it was, again, we're unsure on what it actually was, but I've never seen Ryan run so fast. And then I run back to HQ to grab Chris, and he's like, he's putting his knee brace on because I think he's an old man. But we
That's old.
I grab him and go, Chris, I need you now, and then we're the entire team, and then I look behind us and you got the camera guys running because obviously the camera guys didn't get up there, and they're like, if something's coming now, I'm here for it. And
here's a question for you.
Go on, man.
So it's all kicking off, and you're running from whatever's there, Are you not worried that it's going to follow you home?
They did.
Oh,
Go on, Chris. Go on.
The night where we had the experience in the forest on the summit, we came back together and we decided that we've had enough tonight. Not we've had enough, but we've got enough tonight.
Yeah.
So we're walking back down the trail, and it takes a couple of hours. Brian hung to the back because Bobo said they might follow us down. Then he caught up with us, and he said he didn't feel comfortable. And we come all the way back down, and then you've got this whole thing where everybody's camera footage is stacked up on the table, and it gets downloaded onto 2 hard drives, and it's all high quality stuff. It takes a while. So I went outside for some fresh air, and I was watching the tree line on the trail, and there was 2 sets of eyes that were, I don't know, 30 meters apart. And if you looked at this one, he would duck down, and this would pop up, and you do this, and it was like that. And it was fantastic. I was watching them, and they were probably looking at me thinking, "What's that glowing red?" And then Bobo came out to just talk nonsense with me, and I told him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I thought they were following us down. I heard them." I go, "Wow, okay." And then there was a metal roof next to us, wasn't there? And something bounced off the metal roof, or the roof contracted with the change of temperature. So we're like, well, it's 2:30 a.m, so maybe it shrunk. And
we were actually doing an interview. We did an interview because we had to do catch up interview. So yeah, Chris, you're about right. It was about 2:30 in the morning, and we were finishing off that night because we didn't get back to about 5, did we? It was to the point of it was getting light as we got home, and we were up at 11 that morning to get back out for filming. So we had hardly slept, and we were that's when people ask us, "Oh, are you used to doing when we're doing filming and that?" I said, "This team has been through some of the worst conditions ever." We got in at 5. We actually got to bed at 6 and call time was 10:30 to get back up for 11.
Why didn't you get to sleep very quickly then?
Well, because you were in my room, and so was Ryan. Absolutely, just, and I won't swear, but let's just say you were drinking a lot. And
yeah, voice of life, you understand, it was,
but and I'll kind of end on this for the doc, and then we'll kind of, because I really want to get into to Legend Seekers, but
yeah,
another magical moment that we all love is none of us were armed up there. None of us had any intentions. And Chris was the one that, because the gate was locked, it was kind of a locked HQ that we're in. So he opened the gate, and we were all reversing our cars out. And we were the last car to go. And we looked back, and you saw this silhouette shadow of Bobo walking back in the forest.
Yeah.
With no torches, nothing. He went, I'm just going to go and be with them. Because Bobo's dream is because he's not very well, man. He said, if I'm gonna go, I want to go in the forest. I want to go. I want to have that sunset moment of I'm going in the forest, and to see that you're going in with no torch, nothing, just him. And he said, "I'm just going in to be with them," and that was amazing to see that he just went, "I'm just going to chill, just going to."
I know I've listened to many interviews with Bobo, especially about Bigfoot, obviously, and I think he's literally told the world about not even 10% of what he's experienced, and I think that it wouldn't surprise me if he went off and they had a barbecue or something in the forest. I scared the shit out of them lot. You know, I really wouldn't surprise me because he's just that in the zone with them, you know.
The thing is, they probably sense that he comes with good intentions and don't mean harm. So why would they want to harm you if you come with good intentions? If you go there hostile, where are you? Come out and show. You know, you're throwing over a hostility. If you go in there and say, "I'm only here to meet you," you know, I come with the utmost respect. You know, this is my passion. And if you go in with that intention, then there's a good chance that you may they sense it if they're spiritual or however they connect with people or humans, that they'll have that intention of think we can come so far, but we won't show you all, you know?
Yeah. So
and it got
at the night, like Daniel says, nobody was armed, nobody had bear spray, nothing.
No.
I think, you know, most people had some knife of some sort of maximum. But in the forest, it was all fun. We were chasing around backwards and forwards, and Brian saw a separate creature from what I saw. Okay, so we're confident there was a minimum of 2, but we're very suspicious there was more.
Yeah.
Next day, when Daniel had this sighting from behind the tree, it wasn't one of those 2 because it was a lot bigger. But we all powered across the field. Ryan jumped down in the ditch and went through chasing the creature, and I walked straight into the forest there. So the night before, we'd had this big fun episode, and there was a lot of excitement and positive energy. And then when I walked in the forest, it was like, not today. And there was no doubt. There was no doubt. I came out of the forest and the camera crew, and I said, that's a different feeling from what we had last night. We're not going back in there today. So,
and you're absolutely right, Chris, because it was Dad who first got in there, because me and Brian went to the tree to where we saw it, and there was some sort of sweet smell behind this. Me and Brian were looking at that, and then we hear a massive, and when I mean massive, like a tree that, and you know when a tree crunches because it snaps, and this is a large limb that's been snapped. And then there was a couple of growls that both Dad and Brian heard, but that was a message that say get the F out, out, and you're not coming back. It was that enough now. You've had that. So you have
to take that as a warning. That's
absolutely.
When you back off.
Absolutely, yeah, it was. Don't follow us in the forest today. Like last night was fun.
Chris, I'll let you take that, mate.
Yours, but what's the most common sign we can find in the forest that will suggest to us that it could be a Bigfoot in the area?
Go on, Chris.
Prey animals. So we're pretty confident that Sasquatch eats what bears eat. So they need fruit and vegetables and animals they can catch and eat. And clearly bears and Sasquatch, that can be pretty hefty size animals, but they do need to eat. So they need water, they need berries, fruits, and animals to eat. So there's a good start. If there's nothing like that in there, then nobody can survive there.
Yeah.
And do they leave the animal carcass behind after they've eaten it? Do they clear up? Do they put the bones in a certain place? How do they?
Loads of stuff that I've seen where people find a bear will drag an animal off a certain distance away from the kill zone because other predators will come looking for it, but it will eat it fairly close and then bury what it hasn't eaten. But with Sasquatch, it seems there's images of deer hung up in trees. Like you see leopards in Africa do that. Leopards in the States or anything like that. So you'll find like deer up in trees and things like that. So no, there's some TV shows have reported finding they call it a kill zone, but it's not. It's an eat zone, where they stockpile carcasses and eat them. But no, I don't. I think they
So if you're walking through the forest, it's always a good sign to look up as well as down. Is that what you're saying? There's signs up in the trees.
One of the first things I told Daniel when we first met him was keep looking up, because at the end of the day, it's a monkey type creature. So
Yes. Yeah. That's
About
what I
the
wondered.
tree structures, did you see any sort of tree structures and like the bent over branches and that? No, they keep saying
Brian was showing. So we didn't see any structures as such, but what we found was trees that were down.
Yes.
But what we did find was that they all pointed north.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And
yeah,
difficult to explain how naturally they would all point north when they fell.
Yeah.
Real reason for it. But
so we could talk about this for God knows how long, and we could go into every moment we've had. But a perfect place to kind of move on was, so after that moment on that hill, we became a tribe, a family, as we call it. But a moment that that me and Chris keep going over is that me and Chris met in quite a peculiar way, I'm gonna say. That Chris attended the first children's event that I did.
by
And
invitation, not because I was interested in the children.
I was going to say that's a bit harsh, that one.
It was a point of there that kind of me and Chris kind of met online through a Bigfoot group, and he says it a bit more vividly than I do, but we kind of connected, and from there we then just began working together. That's how kind of all this has come together. Now this year is already looking very, very, very packed, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, good Lord, yeah.
So going into Legend Seekers then. So myself, Chris, my dad Craig Barnett, and Ryan RPG Goldenbesky have started a production company. And we our aim is to what?
What's it called?
What?
Our production company.
Summit View Studios.
Oh right, yeah, sorry.
And we have started producing a new TV series called Legend Seekers, and it was that this production company wasn't planned. It wasn't. It actually came up with, and I think Chris completely regrets saying it to me now. He went,
No.
well, what he says, why don't we start a production company? It'll be much easier. We'll get stuff done. And I look at Chris and go, yeah, that's a great idea. So it actually just came up from one evening. That
color drained out of my face as I realized what I'd done.
Because you started with laughing. You started with laughing, and then it kind of but something that this TV series brings is everything. If people are into nature, you're going to get that. If people are into Bigfoot, you're going to get that. If people are into paranormal, you're going to get that. If people are into, and I could go on for ages. And so our format is kind of, we will always focus on one real life animal today, such as wild boar, such as big cats. And we will look at animals. We might even do deer one day. Who knows? It's animals alive today that people watch it and go, do you know what? I'm not interested in the cryptids or paranormal, but I am interested in just looking at real life animals today and what's actually around us. So, Chris, do you want to tell everyone what we did at our first location in January for everyone who wasn't at the conference?
Yeah, we went down to Wisman's Wood on Dartmoor, which is a central point of Dartmoor, which is famous for its high strangeness, all sorts of different activities and sightings going on down there. And we had what do you call it? The where all the witnesses came to the pub and met us.
Town hall.
A town hall. Thank you. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was driving, so I was very limited in how much fun I could have. But what struck us at that time was the variety of different things that people brought to the meeting with them, and so it gave us inspiration to look for different things. And combine it in with the normal things in life that we see, the animals in the forest, the that sort of thing. We had people that had witnessed stuff at Belvedere Forest, which is the next hill over. Big cats, shadow figures, a Bigfoot far over on the left of Dartmoor. That was somebody witnessed seeing what they describe as a Bigfoot, but their description, it's a shadow, but it's the same shape and size of a Bigfoot. So we're going to investigate that. But what we concentrated on there was Wisman's Wood and the history behind it. Some alien stuff, because there's so many sightings in the south of Dartmoor towards Torquay area. And I was about to say it, something else there. Big cat up on the hill to the left of it. But the whole Wisman's Wood, the whole of Dartmoor used to be covered in this arboreal forest, which today we're used to seeing an oak tree, which is 30 meters tall. But these things were no more than 2 meters tall. And that's how it grew naturally. And the whole area in our prehistory was cleared for farming, you know, as people stopped being nomadic and started domesticating animals, they cleared the forest, but they did not touch this valley. They left it alone. And that is the central point of where you get this different activity. So yeah, we had a little adventure down there, and that's our first episode. But we have several more planned, and the one that I'm particularly, we haven't filmed it yet. We've started, but Daniel knows this is my favorite, is we've got some witness accounts, and we're a little suspicious that people saw a Wendigo in the UK. So I am well looking forward to filming that. And I was out there doing a little bit of filming at the weekend, and I've had a trail camera out there and stuff like that. So, yeah.
That's I'll actually move on to that, because for everyone who was at the conference, we announced that we were going to do some filming in July, and we have some pretty awesome stuff lined up in July. We are kind of moving away from Bigfoot for this kind of shoot. Our main topic that's going to cover the episodes are UFOs. So we're going to get some experts in that know a little bit more about UFOs than we do, and we actually have some new co-stars that will join us. So obviously Gwendolyn Purcell, that was actually part of January, will also be coming back, and we also have two new ones, which is DJ Brewster from Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, which I also class as Teddy Bear, as I now call him. And then we also have an amazing guy that starred in the film Blood and Honey as Winnie the Pooh, and actually is going to be filming a new Bigfoot horror film called Bigfoot Primal Fear, which we can't wait to be a part of. And his name's Craig David Dowsett, and he will also be starring in Legend Seekers as well. So we have a bigger crew for this shoot, and we can't wait to kind of bring out some of the interesting stories that we've got. But something new to me, and I don't know about Chris, but it's something that I've never done before, and no, Paul, you're not coming, is a paranormal investigation. We will be doing...
Angela, turn him off. Turn his video. Angela,
this will be...
Get rid of Daniel.
This will be the very first paranormal investigation of mine. That will be... shut up. So we will be going into the paranormal, doing some stuff about the ghosts, things like that, and we'll also be going into the history as well, because it's important to know about the history of that area. So we'll be deep diving into the history of Glastonbury Tor, which has given you a little bit more of an idea. And I am going to move on, but because the next shoot that we've also got planned is based in the US. Myself and the team will be taking a trip to Pennsylvania, and we will be filming, I think that's about in 6-7 weeks time. We'll be filming in Pennsylvania on Gwen's property, which should be pretty cool, right, Chris?
Well, she has had a lot of activity there. It's at the base of not quite the base, but in Pennsylvania, it's at the base of the Appalachian Trail, which is pretty legendary for some of the animals we'd be interested in, and some strange disappearances and whatnot. Again, I'm not worried. I can outrun Daniel, so I'm good.
Leave him
See,
behind,
when
Chris, if
Nan's
you
on
can.
it, when Nan's on it, I can make that joke, but
No.
I can't. I can't with Chris because
Chris, leave him behind. Leave him behind, Chris.
I think he's going to get a bit suspicious if I start fretting and I start covering him in barbecue sauce or something.
Well, you could always use him as bait for Gwendolyn's dogs, because they're sniffers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes. So.
And we also then have our next big shoot that we're looking at is based up in Scotland, which is Loch Ness. Me, Chris, and that really want to conquer Loch Ness, so we're going to try and get that. So that's kind of our next plans and that, and we may also fit some little shoots here and there, which is pretty cool. But our year is looking absolutely packed, rammed with filming. So it's
I know somebody that knows a lot about paranormal, a group.
Not you.
So
and not.
What do you mean not Chris, come on, stick up for me. Yeah?
Message me later, mate.
Yeah, okay. No worries. I'll send the barbecue sauce over.
Yeah.
So you've got a busy year coming up then, really.
Yeah. It's becoming a year where say we knew that it's gonna begin to get bigger and bigger, but we want to expand a lot more, and going beyond Bigfoot and paranormal and cryptids. It's the film world. That's what we want to go to, because this message is a lot bigger than just the cryptozoology and paranormal world, because we're getting to the nature world as well. And that is what the production company is about. It's about sharing that message on making sure that we can get out there. And I know that we're pretty excited to get some of these shoots done, aren't we, Chris?
Yeah, I think we might have just got a little bit convoluted there. So the point of the ethos behind a production company is not only to go off and look for Bigfoot or go off and look for the Loch Ness Monster or Pennsylvania or Seattle or wherever we decide to go. Part of it is we will have episodes included to demonstrate the adventure of the great outdoors and to get the message across that you don't need to go to Loch Ness to have that adventure, or you don't need to go to Pennsylvania to have that adventure. We can catch a bus into the countryside and it's right there. Or for your type of thing, I don't want to persuade young people to go looking in derelict buildings, but there's adventure to be had fairly close to where you live, wherever you live. And kind of part of that is to demonstrate how to do it safely, but have fun, have adventure, come home safe. That's kind of thing. That's the ethos behind what we want to do. Yeah. We also want to have a lot of fun doing it. So yeah.
It's about opening people's eyes, isn't it? Because we're very blinkered, aren't we? We're with our life, because we're carrying on with our life, but we don't actually see outside of them blinkers, do we? And when you come into the paranormal world, and like yourselves, into cryptids and the way you're branching out, you're suddenly opening the blinkers up for people to see, actually, I can do this. I can go with a group of my friends to do this because I've seen it. And a lot of it's sort of same as us, people go out on a paranormal night, they're hunting around derelict buildings and hospitals, and, the safety is the utmost factor in your forefront. It's that, and I've said it on here before, if you go into a paranormal investigation and you're on a, 3-story building, what you're not expecting is the lift shaft to be missing. So you're so concentrated because you saw something at the end of your torch moving around, you haven't actually looked at the floor. So going there on your own is never a good idea, because if something was to happen, you've got no way out. Or you go down a lift shaft, you break your leg, if you're lucky, if you're not killed, and you could be there for days on your own, because it's a derelict building. Who goes there? And the same as yourself, you go into the woods and fall over in the woods, who's going to find you? Maybe a dog walker, if you're lucky, You could be there days or weeks, couldn't you?
No, but I mean,
And at that point,
the most important thing about having an adventure is being able to tell people about it afterwards.
When coming out. Yeah.
So you got to come home to tell your stories. Yeah.
You've got to survive it.
And to everyone that is interested in kind of how to stay safe and things like that out in nature and that, obviously we run the production company, so we have loads of things, loads of ideas in the pipeline. There's different TV programs, different films, things like that. But in Legend Seekers TV program specifically, we all have a role, and one of the roles of Chris is the outdoorsman, the adventurer, and the survivalist. Now, I don't know if any of you seen Expedition Bigfoot, but Chris, you, Chris, only close. So Chris is the closest to Russ, Acord, where he is very, very kind of stay safe out there, and that's where I can say to Chris that that if you are wanting to know about that, Chris is the guy on Legend Seekers to then go and find.
Yeah, I've shared a message or two with Russ actually about this type of thing.
So and you're very, very proud of that. Well done, good boy. There's two other things that I wanted to bring up, but first, Angela, there's a question in that chat. If you could bring it up for me.
I'm just waiting for the right moment.
Yeah. So I'm again, and both Paul and Angela know this, I'm very, very honest when it comes to paranormal. And I believe I'm going in that direction currently with my next shoot. But I'm not a massive in the paranormal researcher. And I'm very flesh and blood with it. Although due to the experiences that we've had, I'm a little bit more open to the fact of that they could be a bit smarter than they normally are. And my answer to that question is, do you see deer every day? Do you see them in fields every day? Do you see a big cat every day? Do you see wild boar every day? We know they're there. You just don't see them. So, and even in the US, yes, the land is like massive, but it's the fact of you have a 1 in a million chance of seeing it, and we know big cats are here in the UK. We know that, and you still have a 1 in a million chance of seeing a big cat face to face, and it's that unless you go to a zoo. So I go, yes, they could live in this forest. Can I actually say Bigfoot is in the UK? No, because I don't know that. I know that they're in the US, but and even my research I've done, going all the way back 2 years ago to when I got the DNA, I still can't say that is Bigfoot. To this day, I still haven't said it. So my answer to that question is, yes, but no. Chris, I'll kind of pass on to you.
Chris, I'm stuck. So you take over
Yeah.
now.
Fill in, Chris, quick.
Yeah. Bigfoot and time traveling, the first part of the question there. I'm a big believer in time slips because the powers in the universe are way beyond anything we can understand. And I think time is flexible. So I do believe in time slips. I don't think anybody controls them. So sometimes people report seeing, I don't know, a truckload of soldiers from the Second World War, but it's 2012. That's, in my opinion, a time slip. I don't think the soldiers controlled it any more than the witness controlled it. So I'm not going down that route. Bigfoot time traveling. Portal to portal, I've never seen anything to make me think that there are portals. And if they were traveling from portal to portal, does that mean Bigfoot controls where they open and close? If not, why don't they appear in the center of Birmingham or something like that? You know, I don't know. I haven't seen anything to what I have seen, in my opinion, was flesh and blood. I'm not saying portals don't exist. I'm just saying I've not seen one.
And
So.
that's where I stand as well. I stand at the fact of it. Yeah, go on, Paul. Go on, mate.
I can tell you, Chris, a story about a time travel, but I'll do it on another day when I see you. I'll tell you about an experience that happened to a friend of mine. But do you think that Bigfoot, you only see Bigfoot when it wants you to see it?
Oh, I think this thing where you talk about how intelligent they are. I think if you put me and a Bigfoot in the forest, that kid's going to be way more intelligent than me, because he's going to be walking along, eating and drinking where he knows is safe, and hiding where he knows is safe, and I'll be freezing to death and crying for my mum. You know, so yeah, I think if you see one by accident, driving home at night with, yeah, just going to drop another name. When Bobo gave me a lift back to the hotel.
A lift? It was more like an airplane. You sped past us like the place was on fire behind you.
But as he explained to me, there was a perfectly legitimate reason for that, and it wasn't just the fact that Monica was driving like Miss Daisy. What he said is, if you want to catch them crossing the road, you need to come around the corner fast. And so he drove fast, and he had his dash cam going, and I was holding on to the armrest like this. I pulled the one from the rear over and tied it around. But yeah, no, that's where I don't think, that's where he's talking about catching them unexpectedly. But I think what we witnessed in the forest, they were playing games with us. They
absolutely.
And when it was over, that was that. It was done. It was absolutely done. I don't think we would have found them in 100 years unless they wanted to be.
And I do think that is, you will only see them when they want you to see them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they remain in camouflage or out of sight, so you can't see them. They could be walking alongside of you 100 meters away.
Oh, yeah,
You wouldn't see them. It's only at that time they want you to see them. I think there's a lot of it's like ghosts and spirits. When you see apparitions, you only see them when they want you to see them. It's not as though, like Chris was saying, where you walk into a room and you walk through into a time slip. There's a very famous road in Liverpool that has a lot of time slips happen to it, and people are walking along doing a normal day's shopping. Suddenly you see a horse and carriage go past in cobbled streets, and within split seconds they're back into normal time. It's a very famous street in Liverpool that this often happens. And I think not so much time travel, but I think our parallel lifelines cross somewhere, and we either go forward. I don't think we can travel forward in time, but I think we see that split time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Never having seen it myself, I'd say I have a good story I'll tell you one day about a friend of mine that this happened to. And that was, and I think, as I say, they allow you to see them when they want to, when it's right. And like you say, the following day you went in there and you were warned off. They weren't in the mood to be seen or to play. And that's the warning to move away.
I do have a question for you, Paul.
Oh God.
No. So me and Daniel have discussed this. In fact, we discussed it multiple times with many people. After I spend a lot of time in the forest, so after the experience in August, now I see every forest in a different light. I kind of like it gave up one of its secrets to me. And it doesn't matter where the forest is. I just feel like the forest globally gave up one of its secrets to me. I have this I've seen a secret.
It's connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So now when you walk past an old building, do you kind of have that same feeling like there's history here that's shown part of itself to me? Do you have that same kind of feeling?
Sometimes recently we've done a private investigation in Colchester with an issue happening within the house. Quite a lot of issues. I'll explain it to you because obviously it's private and confidential because it's someone's home. But the things happened there, and they asked us to go there. But as soon as I walked in the house, I had this instant connection with the house, like I knew it. You know, do that feeling, like you say, and even, you know, before I've been driving to paranormal events and I hear a name or I see a building and I walk straight in and say, I've just got a name of so and so. And then, you know, you walk around or you ask the tour guide, do you know a name of this? And she'll go, yeah, how do you know that name? And it's like you suddenly connect, that connection's there, or they want you to connect, or they want you to get that. And it's like the forest with you. The forest is giving you a secret that nobody else would have seen. And that connection you have with the forest, and like us with the paranormal, it will only you that will feel that connection, no one else. You know, that's the one and only connection that happens to yourself, and only you experience that. Someone else can't say, "Oh yeah, I can feel that," because you don't. We all feel and sense things differently because we're human. You know, we have different vibrations. We're on different energy levels, and some people are more susceptible to feeling it. Some people are not. Some people struggle. Some people make it up, and we know these people make it up. You know, and it's also that the power of suggestion. Oh, did you hear that knock? Somebody go, yeah, I did actually, because if we hear a knock, we don't say anything. We let someone else do it so they can get that connection. You know, if I say, oh, there's a knock, or Daniel, there's a woman standing behind you, you'd think, oh, yeah, you know, where is there? I can see them, because you're suggesting it. The power of suggestion is massive in the human brain. But as for that connection, yes, I do get it with haunted locations. I feel that I've somehow, and it might sound mad, I have this connection with the RAF. And I've never been in the RAF. I don't know aeroplanes. I don't know fighter planes. I don't know anything about the army, but I can tell you all about planes, RAFs, all the equipment that was used during the Second World War, the guns that were used, the planes that flew, the fighter planes, the German stuff. How do I know this? I don't know. And I've never ever studied the war, but I have this infinity lock with I'm thinking in my previous life, I was something to do with that. You know, at some stage I'll get a past life regression and be taken back and see. But I don't know how I know, but I just have that connection. Nobody else sees it or feels it like you. Nobody else can feel that connection and what you feel in that forest. Only you feel that.
Yeah.
And that's solely for you to feel.
Before I go on to a point that we kind of came across before, was Paul, if you were flying planes, the world would be going mad. All right, that's just something.
I'd be going down to Somerset, mate. Don't you worry. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm dropping my payload. I know where I'm dropping my payload.
And it's the thing of what myself, Chris, Brian, Ryan, Dad, everyone experienced. I will never ever be able to tell someone how we felt that day and that night. And me and Chris know, because me and Chris talk every single day, multiple times. And when we talk about the experience, me and Chris know how we feel, and we can share with each other. Do you remember that? Do you remember how you felt? It was like there was one bit where this was surrounded by forest and the scenery. Forget the Bigfoot sighting. That was one of the most amazing things ever to ever see the scenery. That's just beautiful. And I'll even say that Chris jumped in the lake. It was I can't remember what lake it was, but it was a beautiful lake. And Chris went, "Do you know what? I'm stripping off in front of everyone." Stripped off and jumped in the lake.
I kept my pants on.
Really? I was going to say, listen, Daniel said it was quite cold that day.
He's filming me, and I said, "Turn the camera. I'm not coming out of water until you've turned the camera away."
The thing is, though, Daniel, you saying that one special connection is that one time that you'll never replace that feeling again, and nobody will understand that feeling.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think it's a very personal feeling for yourself and Chris, like myself and Angela. You get that one moment, but it's that personal feeling that you'll, for the rest of your life, everything will come along, but that one moment you connected will stay with you for the rest of your life. It will never change.
Absolutely. And that's where say me and I was actually putting my overlay on because it was I think it was the last day of filming, Chris, what was it? It was misty, cold, and I was just putting the overlayer on, and to the side of me was rustling it in the bush. And I run in HQ, I grab Chris's hand, and we're out. And Chris is straight through. We got in this kind of dense, thick of trees and bushes, and the ferns were lifting up.
We were
Something.
we were seconds behind this animal.
Yeah, whatever it was, and then the smell was horrendous. We must have been meters, had to be meters, and we surrounded this forest within seconds. This patch of forest. Dad went round the corner, Bobo went round, and it was gone. Whatever it was, me and Chris were literally seconds, and it annoys me because we were seconds behind it. If I had said that seconds before, we would have had that third sighting of something. But I can't begin to say the ferns were literally lifting off the ground, and the smell was like
and flattened it down, and we came through, and the ferns were like literally just where they'd just been squashed.
So
it was there. I could feel its eyes burning into me. I could feel it, and the smell is exactly like people describe cross between dog and wet skunk, or wet skunk and dog. No. Wet dog and skunk. Exactly. Yeah, and it was right there. I could feel it. And by now, everybody was around the far side of this small part of the forest that had a little clearance behind it. I knew it was right there.
Sorry. The funny
if
thing,
people wanted to go on, Daniel. Sorry,
I was just going to say, because it might relate to this point, is we felt it when it was gone. When it was gone, it was very, very obvious. The smell was gone, and it was the feeling. You knew once that thing had left that patch of forest, you knew that it was gone, and it was probably 1 minute 30, I must say, before we went, yeah, let's go, it's gone. And it wasn't anything that it was just that feeling of, do you know what? This bit of forest is empty now. But that first minute 30, I'm like, we are seconds behind this, and I'm calling everyone around. We're surrounding this forest because I'm like, if this thing is right here, I'm gonna see it, and we're gonna get that eye contact once again, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and a lot of people will say once this doc is released, a lot of people will say, it's his first time out in Seattle. It's his first time out. Bigfoot in. They'll say that, Chris, and they'll go, it's just a load of rubbish. And to be honest, go ahead and say that the entire thing is just BS. Go ahead, because I must say, I don't care. I don't care. Because I know what I saw, and Chris knows what he saw.
Does it really matter what other people think? I don't.
No.
You know, people look at you and say, "Ghost hunter, you gotta be mad." There's no such things. I don't care what other people say. I know what I've seen. I've known what I've heard, and I've known what I felt. Same as Angela, I'll tell you. You know it. So if people watching this wanted to get in contact for advice on where to go, what to do, how would they get in contact with you, you and Chris?
So, if you're looking for, because there's two ways. If you're wanting to get in contact with us to be part of the production, because we're always looking for people to become part of our series, and if we're coming to your area, let us know. So you can contact us at summitviewstudios.dlb@gmail.com, or if you wanted to get hold of us through podcast and you wanted advice, things like that, contact us through through the podcast. So Mythical Legends, we're getting that up and going again. I said to Chris just before we came on that we really need to get going again. So come on the podcast. We have a Facebook group on there. contact us via Facebook. We're also on Facebook through Summit View Studios. If you're wanting to get hold of us, it's very easy. And by all means, message Chris online, message me online, and say I'm kind of in and out sometimes. So if I don't reply immediately, we're probably out searching. Chris, go on, mate.
I know it was your first time in Washington State, but
What, mine?
yeah, and you had the experience, and so did I, and so Ryan and Brian. So I've been looking 40 years. Brian's been looking for about 40 years, and Ryan has been looking for about 40 years. So you were your first time in Sasquatch Central, but you were with 120 years of searching experience. So yeah,
that might help then.
Yes, people say, oh yeah, your first time out, and you saw it. Yeah. Jan will just happened to be with us.
Yeah.
We saw it finally.
You're always going to get your doubters, aren't you? So you know what? World's full of them, Daniel. So just ignore them. You have the experience you're having, and look after yourself. And all of you, just enjoy the experience.
Yeah, say we're kind of, if people want to get in contact with us, it's not hard. It's not hard. You search one thing online or one message online and say you can get in contact with us. Say what we're doing this year is just magical. Again, I keep using that word. It's not a word I use a lot. And say we're going to all different locations, including US. And say yes, I'm botting on a few days in New York, so me and Dad get to go to New York as well. So it's just the filming that we're gonna do. We need as many people for. So any witnesses, any people that have amazing knowledge on history or certain cryptids, things like that. Not you, Paul. Oh, sorry, my throat. Sorry.
I'm going to drop my bombs on you.
I could take that inappropriately or professionally.
However you like.
So yes, but it's been a pleasure to come on and chat again.
Thank you.
And say
Thank
it's
you
not
stepping in at
often
the last moment.
It's absolutely fine. Say again, it's not often me and Chris have an evening free, or we haven't just done a weekend full of planning or full of entertaining things like that. So it was our pleasure. Chris, is there anything you wanted to add to what I've said?
I had a weekend of wild camping and hiking and trail cams in the forest. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's what I did. Must have done discussed because I got about 8 missed calls off him, but there's no signal in the forest.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just ridiculous.
No signal in the forest, mate.
The final thing that I will bring up is SVS will be bringing out something soon for it's almost something that is almost merchandise. Let's say I wouldn't call it
I know,
proper merch, but we've just ordered our first load of them. If anyone has ever seen these cards around, okay, and I would like keep an eye out on our websites and keep an eye on our Facebook pages, because within the next couple of weeks we are going to be bringing out some new cards. And that's something that SVS is looking forward to, and we will be starting up a YouTube channel for different short videos from and behind the scenes videos from our episodes, as well as SVS members and Legend Seeker members doing different videos. So Chris has done some amazing videos, I've done a couple, and Ryan will be doing some as well, which will be being uploaded to our YouTube. So that's coming out. So we're all go, and there are loads of things cooking where we are, to quote The Rock from WWE.
We have discussed, but it's going to need a PG rating, a bloopers video, which predominantly stars me.
That sounds like a plan to me.
So before we kind of we disappear, Paul and Angela, is there anything that you would like to ask us?
No. When do you stop talking? It's gone quiet. Look, Chris, can you believe it? Look, Chris, quick. You can get a word in edgeways. No, it only remains for us to say good luck and congratulations on the way you're going forward. The conference was brilliant. We thoroughly enjoyed the conference and everything in it. So it's well worth, if you ever around and the next one comes on, the aliens back. Look, it's like the Men in Black, isn't it? Do you have to put up with this, Chris? How do you?
Yeah.
No, I don't know how you do it. You need patience of a stone. So it only remains me to say thank you for Chris and Daniel for stepping in at the last moment. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know we're always here for you. So pop in, say hello to us, and myself and Angela are always here, and Julia and a few others. I say thank you for stepping in at the last moment. You're probably all knackered, the same as us. Eh?
We love talking about it, Paul.
Yeah.
We enjoy it because it's a good subject and everybody enjoys it. So you've heard from Daniel and Chris tonight, so big thank you. And you know how to get in touch with them, as they've said. Mythical Legends and Legend Seekers, get hold of them if you want to learn about Bigfoot, forest safety especially. You know, safety is paramount in any experiment you do or anything outdoors. So and the same in the paranormal world. So it only remains for me to say thank you for tuning in tonight. And hopefully we may have Sindel next week. If not, we'll have another group. So big thank you to Daniel and Chris and Angela. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.